We back. Geeked Out Podcast, Bam Collectibles.
Who knows what episode this is now?
Yeah.
I've already lost track. I lost track after the third or fourth one.
Yep, we took a week break so that we can kind of restructure some stuff.
That and we're working too much too. So.
Yeah, that's mostly what it is, just working too much. But today we're gonna go through a few good topics today.
Time for the review.
Yeah.
Time for the misleading review.
Yep, movie review. So what was it? Sunday, I went and watched the Sinners movie, that Michael B. Jordan movie. I enjoyed it. It was a good movie. It was slightly unique of a take of a vampire movie. They didn't try to do that whole like weird thing where they try to change or modernize vampires. They kept that old school like myth behind vampires and just used it. I wouldn't call it a horror movie. It's labeled as a horror movie, but it's just so light.
Is it more psychological then, or
no?
No.
It's more. Well, you know what? It is at least in depth. It makes you think. At least to the point of, because I like how they intertwine racial tension
of that time period, because it's set in what, like the 20s, 30s or something.
Yeah, so it's like right in between like Jim Crow era and.
So we're talking about Southern vampires here.
Yeah, it's literally set. It's literally set in Mississippi.
Okay.
So it's in Mississippi. I would say about one generation away from slavery. Is basically
okay.
So they're still working in fields, cotton fields and stuff, and helping. But
they're sharecroppers and stuff like that.
Yeah, they're actually getting paid for their work.
So
about a full generation away from that, and it's a unique take with Michael B. Jordan playing as a set of twins. So you get
so he's in the movie twice.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Does he get paid twice though? That's the thing. I'm like, you want me to play two different characters? You better give me two different checks.
Yeah, because that's the probably hardest part for actors to do when it comes to trying to play two characters of the same movie.
It might be kind of hard to follow too, because unless you have actors that are actually twins and you're seeing them on screen interacting together.
Right. And that was the only thing I would say that he didn't do as well, but because he was such a good actor in general, you enjoyed it anyway. But I will say there wasn't that much of a distinction between the two brothers to where you could be like, oh yeah, this one's this one, and this one's the other guy. So there was like they were just so similar of twins that you felt like you was watching the same character on both ends. But as an overall experience of the movie, it was a good movie. I would say about an 8 out of 10, maybe even 7.5, something like that. Mostly, the only reason why I would rate it even lower is the simple fact of how simplistic.
Not enough vampires.
Not enough vampire stuff. I was at least hoping for more.
I'm still trying to get a feel for the movie because I watched the trailer. The trailer looked interesting, but we don't really watch horror movies like that. And then when you told me it was about vampires, the trailer felt very vague because they never really show anything. It always shows the people reacting, but never shows what they're reacting to, and they're starting to freak out.
And they definitely, I will say, some of the scenes that they show in the trailer is definitely misleading to
what's actually going on.
There is a few scenes in those trailers, but as an overall thing, the trailer almost just gives away everything that happens in the movie.
Because I'm looking at it, and now you're talking about it more. To me, it almost feels like it's a movie that has vampires in it, but it's not a vampire movie. It's more about witnessing the fear and the reaction within the people to a threat.
Yeah, because it's more in depth than just being a vampire movie or even being a horror movie. That's why I don't like it. Wasn't scary enough.
But does it deal more with the social dynamic of the people amongst each other? Because I'm sure that they probably start questioning each other. I was like, hey, are you a vampire? Like,
there's a lot of
so it is kind of almost like a psychological type of thing then.
It's not, but the only problem with that is that it's not complex enough for you to be thinking about it, because you basically will guess what's going to happen. Like, it's not nothing like all expiring with, like the big thrillers or movies and stuff where there's always a twist. There's nothing in it like that. It's just a simplistic movie of...
it's not Jack Black in Goosebumps. You got the beginning, the middle, And the twist.
Yeah. But yeah, it's more of a. I feel like a movie dedicated for more of a cultural
Okay.
aspect of it.
So what you're
'Cause, I mean,
saying
it's
is,
made-
I'm not black enough to go and watch the movie.
No, you told. Well, that's what's funny is all right. So they put in a certain element of it where with when it comes to race, but like they show Asian Americans there. They show and because that's something you don't never think about is what everybody always talks about in history about slavery, black people, white people during Jim Crow era and stuff.
Well, and there was a lot of Asians too because they were building the railroad.
Yeah, so it was like they always talked about black versus white, color people, water fountains, and black people, that kind of distinguishing. It's like, well, what do these people fit in? The Asians and the Mexicans, where do they fit in this whole color versus white Jim Crow era?
So it's not just about black people. Then there's other people sprinkled in there. Okay.
Yeah. So and it's like a good perspective of, like I said, the development of culture, black culture in general, because it has like that element when it comes to music and just that comparison of how they were back then versus how we are now. That there's like this whole distinguish of time travel in it too. That's easily like I'm being vague about it because I don't want to ruin anything.
Give it away
or give it anything away. But yeah, it has that raw aspect in there because.
See, now you're making me want to watch the movie more, and you were kind of like on this, like it was.
It was done by the same director that did Black Panther.
Okay.
Black Panthers and what else? What did he do? He did a lot of good movies already. So just knowing that aspect of it.
What's your recommendation? How do you recommend the movie to people? Like,
I would say the easiest way to watch the movie and enjoy it.
Say somebody like David who loves horror movies.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a movie that David as a horror fanatic would like, or Marcus who's a horror fanatic would like?
Not as a horror aspect at all. It's just not enough. It's not enough of there's no jump scares. There's no what you see is what you get, and there's nothing above that point.
So if you like the trailer and the trailer was intriguing, you'd probably like it because that's what you're going to get. It's not going to be scary.
It's not going to be anything other than what you already saw.
Like a Paranormal Activity trailer is just going to be showing the person sleeping, then all of a sudden they just get dragged out of the thing, and you're like, oh crap! Like,
yeah.
This one
it has like some gore aspect, but not
enough for a hardcore horror fan.
Yeah. It's definitely not in that area.
So it's kind of a little mix of everything. It's a little cerebral, making you think. There's a little bit of horror in it, and
So I say the easiest way to watch the movie and enjoy it is to watch it without
any expectations.
Yeah, without those expectations, because I think that's the only reason why. For me, when I went in and watch it, I was because of what everybody was saying about it. It's just so hyped up that when I went to watch it, I was like,
you kind of disappointed.
Yeah. It was just slightly disappointed in that aspect. But if I had went in there and watched it without even like watching too much of the trailers or anything like that, and I just went in and watched it, it would have been an amazing movie, and I wouldn't think anything else of it. Yeah. I literally would say go see it, regardless of whether
I'm gonna wait until next Tuesday though, because it's too late now.
Yeah,
I want that. I want to pay $6 at the at the IMAX.
Yep. All right, so next what we got up is in comic book news.
Free Comic Book Day this Saturday. So if you're a comic book fan, find your local comic book store, find out if they're going to be doing Free Comic Book Day, which most of them do. I mean, they don't get the comic books for free. They have to pay a small fee for them, but there's some cool comic books coming out this Saturday. Yep. I know here in town, the stores that typically do it is Muse.
Yep.
Ed's always does it.
Yep.
The Iron Line has been doing it.
Yep.
Escape Velocity.
Yep.
Well, and then, man, too bad. Van does it. But I know he doesn't usually have a whole lot though.
Nah.
And I'm trying. Oh, Vault is gonna be doing it inside the mall too. So you got Vault inside the mall is gonna be doing it. And I forgot what's his name, Roman, with the collectibles one that was down the street from the Iron Line. He was doing it before until he went out of business this last year. So, with keeping that in mind, he was a cool dude. Well, is a cool dude. His comic book store was pretty cool. He had a lot of toys, built it with his personal collection, and he had new comic books in there every week. But From my understanding, was the rent was kind of high for
Yeah.
him.
Well, I mean that's the whole major thing right now when it
Yeah,
comes. Like speaking of just comic shops in general and why free comic book day is so important,
important
it's
is
because
to
yep,
yeah to keep those mom and pop shops in business. So
yep,
if you're a comic book fan and you look forward to Free Comic Book Day, don't just wait for Free Comic Book Day or Halloween Fest to go and get free comic books for your kids. Go out there. Try to go out there once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, and just go and pick up some comic books that you like from the local dudes because um, they offer a lot of good stuff.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Build a rapport with them.
yeah. I mean, there's a certain extent to where getting people back into reading and enjoying those physical copies of comic books in general.
Yeah,
It just saves that type of culture that we have because
I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm just gonna download it." I'm like, "No,
yeah,
don't download it." The comic books companies are slowly getting rid of comic books, and a lot of them are moving to digital. But
yeah,
what are you gonna physically collect? I like collecting the books. I like having the books, but
yeah. And because that's a lot of people who even they hate the whole aspect of spec books, but from where I see it as those spec books is what brings more
people
people
in.
interest into the comic book. So I actually want to at least once a month there should be like a new book hot that's so hot that should be like a spec book that everybody wants.
I like
Just to,
spec
just,
books, but I hate them at the same time.
right. Cause, well, it's because sometimes it can get a little like toxic when it
Toxic,
comes
yeah.
to
You
the
go to the
way.
store and you're like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to have time for the drop on Wednesday, so I'll be there on Thursday. But you forget to put that book that you're trying to get into your pull list, so you don't
Yeah,
get the book. You go on Thursday, they're like, nah, we sold out of every single copy yesterday. Like,
yeah,
really? But then it's getting to the point where comic book stores don't order comic books like they used to.
right,
Back in the 90s, you could go into a store and be like, oh, all right, I'm gonna get these couple today, and then I'll be back tomorrow. And the books are still there because they ordered plenty of copies. Thursday, they're still there. Copies slowly dwindling to the point where like you can come like 3 weeks later and still get the book even if you didn't get it.
right.
It was very rare that a book was so hot that it completely
Sold
sold
out like
out.
that.
But I know they started doing that with like X-Men #1 and the Death of Superman and stuff like that. So those spec books kind of almost ruined the market in
Right.
the 90s. But
Especially that high print rate. But like now, especially when you got social media and internet and
yeah,
stuff like that, you can always get on top of those trends and stuff. But yeah, Free Comic Book Day. Some of the books that are out on Free Comic Book Day that I'm looking forward to is there's some mangas that's out there like the Boruto 2 Blue. They're gonna have that as a Free Comic Book Day issue. Street Fighter versus Rival Schools.
those Street Fighter Udon books are always dope because
Oh
I
yeah,
think those are usually the larger format magazine ones.
yeah,
But the artwork in there almost looks like you're watching an anime. It's not even, I won't say manga because manga's black and white. It's
yeah.
like an anime
I
in
would
a
say.
in a book.
Yeah. And then there's Def Leppard has a
That one looks
Historia.
cool.
That one looks good. Mega Man, Diablo, and then Godzilla: The New Heroes. Those are my top picks that I'm gonna try to get this weekend.
I'll go down the list too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna so there's some good free comic books out this year that are gonna be dropping on Saturday. You could tell that the comic books are kind of suffering, and I don't know if this has to do with Diamond because we were talking about that before we started the podcast.
Yep.
Because the offerings for Free Comic Book Day are a lot smaller than they have been in years. I want to say it looks like it's probably about maybe 15 to 20 books less than it's been in previous years. Because usually there's so many freaking books that not. It's very rare that a store has all of
Right.
the offerings. But there's Archie, which there's almost I think every year there's an
some
Archie
kind
book.
of Archie.
Yeah.
Same way with Transformers.
Power Rangers. There's been Power Rangers almost every year. This one is from Boom Studios. They got Power Rangers with VR Troopers. So if you're a '90s kid, you remember VR Troopers.
Yep.
And so a lot of these ones they have their kid books and then they have their mature audience books. So they got Young Jedi Adventures, which is a children's book. This one's back. This one's from Dark Horse, and it's backed with Avatar: The Last Airbender. So that'll be cool for the little kids. The one that I'm looking forward to see if I can snatch one up is Thundercats Powerpuff Girls. That's just a weird combination.
Yeah. The artwork that's on it is kind of funny too.
Yeah.
Like to try to blend those two different types of animation and then
Yep.
put them in one book. It's kind
There's I Hate Fairyland, which if you're a
Scotty
fan of the
Young.
series, you already know that that book comes in two formats: the "I Hate Fairyland" title and the um, what is it? F Fairyland.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
it's F Fairyland, which I'm not going to say it on the podcast. Um, Mad Cave Studios is bringing back Speed Racer. I was kind of hyped up for it until I saw the artwork, and I wanted more manga styling, like the
Yes.
cartoon, but it's not. So, Fantastic Four X-Men, Spider-Man Ultimate Universe is going to be out. This one I'm kind of hyped up for, and this is a total kids book too. It's Phineas and Ferb Paper Cuts is putting that one out, so I'm gonna try to get that one for the kids. There's a Dr. Seuss one, Energon Universe, which is gonna be cool because it's Transformers, GI Joe, and Void Rivals. So that's gonna be out. The Conan Scourge of the Serpent. I know there's a lot of people that still collect Conan, which I think is cool because Conan's never really. I think with the indie with Titan putting out the Conan books and stuff like that, it's gaining popularity again.
Yeah.
Hot off the trail of the movie, they got a Minecraft manga one with Beyblade, so that's Viz Media. So Viz always does the manga stuff.
Yep.
Valiant still pumping out books. There's a Valiant one. There's a Boom Studios one. What's this one? Critical Role Black Hammer. Okay, so that's another indie one from Dark Horse. I remember when I was after you had left, and I had ordered some of those Black Hammer books.
Critical Role is basically Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. So there were some people looking for that stuff. Not a whole lot.
I picked up most of them.
Dynamite's putting out Gargoyles. This is Demona Zero. So if you're a Gargoyles fan, which was one of the craziest Disney cartoons that ever came out because it dealt with the Illuminati and adult stuff, and it wasn't a typical Disney cartoon.
It was good though.
Fantagraphic Books, which does a lot of indie stuff, is doing one with Marvel called Lost Marvel. So I'm wondering if this is more of a book about older Marvel titles that aren't available anymore. There's one called Bad Kitty Gets a Job. This is obviously a little kid's book. Godzilla one though. The Godzilla cover just looks dope. Godzilla New Heroes.
Yep.
Find Your New Fear IDW Dark. So this looks like it has about maybe 4 titles in there because it's 30 Days of Dark is in there, and or 30 Days of Night. So it looks like a four story horror one. So that one would be pretty interesting. Keen Spot, which does a lot of parody stuff, has one. I don't know if this is a kid's book or what because it's a toy box, and it looks like it has multiple different stories in there. This is the one that I thought you would have put on there. You were going to mention was Mark Spears Monsters Zero.
Yeah.
So this is from Keen Spot also, but Mark Spears has been on fire with his monster books.
Yeah. I'm not too interested in Mark Spears, but it's just definitely been big.
For the people that are looking for manga, you got Tower Dungeon. So that one looks the artwork on the front looks good. I'm wondering, are all of their books manga, like where it's black and white?
Oh, which ones?
This Kodansha USA Publishing one, because they do manga.
Yeah. They mostly just do
the Phantom Zero for the older guys that like what was it, like Flash Gordon and stuff like that. Another one, and Marvel puts these out every year too. It's Iron Man, Spider-Man, His Amazing Friends. So these are the little chibi style cartoon ones that you can see on Disney Plus that they have on there. But they have a kids comic books with them every year. I want to get this one, Ironheart Marvel Voices #1.
Yeah, almost every year I think they do Marvel Voices for a while.
So and the Marvel Voices encompass a lot of stuff. So it's a lot of heroes, a lot of female heroes, I should say. Yeah. So the Marvel Voices really spotlights the females.
Stuff, right?
Well they usually use a lot of their newer artists on there to kind of do that stuff. But the Marvel Voices usually spotlights a lot of female heroes, a lot of heroes of color, and like LGBTQ type of hero. So it's kind of to give a little bit of a voice, like this Marvel Voices is kind of to showcase that, hey, you know what, this is not just your typical superhero that everybody grew up with. It was the basis of everything since the 30s. So
because one of the things you got to realize too, especially when it comes to comic books, is they always had like a target audience, and that just doesn't support the comic book community anymore. Like you have to be more versatile now,
and that's why
appeal to a bigger audience now.
That's why I was asking about the Crunchyroll categories, because anime is so diverse now. Like they have genres of anime for like this is targeted at 12 to 16-year-old girls. Like Sailor Moon demographic is a certain thing. Dragon Balls was a certain thing. Like all of these are all these different target audiences, and they have the specific names, which I don't really remember. But um, Star Wars #1, the cover looks pretty cool because it's got a Qui-Gon Jinn and Luke Skywalker, so in their movie accurate drawings, and then you got Kylo Ren and Darth Vader on it. So that one looks kind of cool. So it might be all encompassing. This is one I haven't seen in a while though. It's Princess Guinevere and King Arthur crossover from Maverick Comics. Now the King Arthur is from a cartoon from the '90s, and I think that's the one where he's like a football player, and he gets transported to the medieval time period and becomes Arthur. So I think that's what this one is based off of. But it almost has an anime-ish look to it, so that looks kind of cool. Will Eisner comics biography. So this is going to be about Will Eisner, the comic book artist, which was that one will be pretty cool. I like getting those ones too because I've gotten the Stan Lee one, I've gotten the Jack Kirby one.
Yeah.
Here's this is Oni Press. EC Comics presents Blood Type Zero. So we got another horror book. So this one's just going to be in the vein of those old classic EC books.
Yeah.
Another kid book from Paper Cuts, Flash Gordon and the girl from Infinity Adventure. So that looks cool for little kids. Hero Bear and the Kid from Paper Cuts also. So that's another kid-oriented book. Creaky Acres, this is Penguin. So that one's for the young readers. It's a graphic novel. So sometimes they do the... it's not just a regular comic book that you can get. In years past, I picked up one from... what's it called? It's about these little mice. And they're like medieval mice and stuff like that. The storyline was really good, but that one was a free comic book. But this was actually a hardcover comic book that I got. And I picked up 2 copies for the kids, and I would take them to school, and they'd have like the dads with donuts, and would take a book and go and read them. Rebellion Publishing is putting out the best of 2000 AD. So if you're not familiar with 2000 AD, that's the introduction to Judge Dredd. So a lot of people know Judge Dredd from the movies if they've never read the comic books. Yeah. Red 5 Comics Young Adult Adventures. I'm not sure what this one is. It says Snow Monkey on there in Enigma Town. So it looks like it's a couple of stories in there. So this is another indie book. Yeah. Hulk Teach, this is Scholastic Graphics. So this is a kid's book. So this one might be not formatted as a comic. Right. Might be a little thin paperback. Yeah. But the artwork looks like a little kid drew it. So that's kind of cool. Transformers Worst Bot Ever. This almost looks comedic. This is from Skybound. This one. Ballpoint, the first appearance of Ballpoint. Okay, so there you go. There's a key issue. First appearance of Ballpoint. Champion 10-speed graphic. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, illustrated by Ed LaRoche. So this one seems kind of cool. So it looks like about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Black Mirror #1.
That's the Netflix series.
The Netflix series. This one I kind of want to check out. Diablo. So if you're a fan of the video game Diablo, this is right up your alley. I wonder what that one's going to be like, though. Like, how is it going to be? Yeah. Stitch, Best Food Ever. This one for Disney Stitch is being done by Tokyo Pop. So if you're familiar with Tokyo Pop does manga style stuff. It's not always black and white, but their stuff is in color for their manga stuff. So that one's going to be pretty cool. Mega Man Zero by Udon Entertainment. So they do a lot of... they do the Street Fighter one. So Udon does more of the anime-ish style, manga style artwork. Then we got Street Fighter versus Rival Schools. That one's Udon. Def Leppard Hysteria Zero by Vault Comic Books. And then the last one on the list is... that's the one you were talking about. Yeah. The Boruto Blue Vortex one. So
I think it's called Kagura Bachi.
Yeah, Kagura Bachi. That one's Viz Media, so obviously that's going to be a manga issue. Yeah. I don't know if it's going to be in color, if it's going to be in black and white, but...
I think they're already on, issue, 10 maybe by now. Maybe I just know whenever... That's one of the issues that I actually was ordering for the shop at that time. Mm-hmm. Because I knew it's going to get big. Once they actually make the anime of that, it's going to be hot stuff.
So... Just remember, go check out your local comic book shops for some of these books. Hopefully they have the bulk of them, if not maybe all of them. Yeah. You never know with some of these books, though, because there's been some really hot books. One Punch Man's U.S. debut in comic books outside of Japan was in a Free Comic Book Day book. Yeah. That was it was My Hero and then One Punch Man, and I thought I had grabbed it, but I've never found that one in there. Umbrella Academy's first appearance was in a Free Comic Book Day comic.
Yep.
And then one of the other ones that I have that's pretty cool is Secret Wars Zero. So that book, there's nothing really super special about the book except for a bonus story at the end that was made in Japan, and then Marvel wanted to use the story, so they got the rights for the story that was, I don't know if it was how it was done in Japan, but the story was cool because it's Attack on Titan versus the Marvel Universe, and it's just a little bonus story at the back, and you just see the Avengers going at them, Spider-Man, and all kinds of people just going at them. So that's, you never know what you're going to find Free Comic Book Day. Some of the shops might have exclusive stuff too, like Free Comic Book Day. You've ordered the stuff before, exclusive Funko Pops, T-shirts, stickers, the lunch boxes. They have all kinds of stuff, even exclusive Free Comic Book Day comics that you can buy that aren't going to be free, like ratios and stuff like that. But some of those are kind of hard to get because I know some of them are like one per store type of thing. So don't just go for the free comic books. Go and support your local comic book store when you go out.
Yep. So that's Free Comic Book Day. The only thing we have left is WrestleMania. So WrestleMania was passed and gone. Our guys David and Aiden,
yeah,
they on Facebook you can see it. I'm telling you, they had a killing, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get some of those pictures.
The people that they saw,
Lola Vice.
Yeah, it was crazy. So we're gonna end up doing that on next show. We're gonna have them on. We're gonna give us the full one on what all went down. And
yeah, and it was in Vegas. And they did it pretty big too. So
yeah.
That'll be next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, so it'll be next Wednesday. So if you want to kind of get a little preview of their excitement for it, check out one of, what was it, it was 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, so it should have been like episode 6
or something like that. Yeah, so we had already previously interviewed David and Aiden on what they were excited for about. So, and I think that whole episode was just about them, right?
Most of it.
Yeah. So, and then we're going to be having some other stuff too. I don't know if we're going to incorporate it into the show. We probably can, but we're going to have some how-to stuff with Hot Wheels and stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, that's it. That's it for this episode.
Yep, trying to build up a whatnot.
Yeah, we still haven't done it. We got tons of One Piece, Pokemon. We got all kinds of other stuff too for cards. We got a crap load of comics.
Yeah, a ton of comics we need to go through. So that whatnot is coming up. We're just gonna still working on it, but
yeah, I want to do a Facebook live sale like the old days when Lance used to run them on Facebook for the Iron Lane. Those were always fun because it was just as much selling was going on. I think there was a lot more bonding too. So we're gonna try to host one of those sometime soon.
Yeah, we probably can do that even earlier than
the whatnot.
Yeah,
yeah,
because there's nothing attached to it.
We could just go. We could just BS and talk with people and then answer questions and
go live.
Show a comic book. Yeah, I want it to be more about community that as opposed to selling. Yeah, we do want to sell the comic book so we can make some money, so we can grow what we're trying to do. But hey, I like hanging out. It was sometimes the 2-hour show would fly by and I'm like, oh crap.
Yeah.
But
all right, but that's all we got for today. Like I said, stay tuned. See y'all guys next time.
Peace.